So the moment you just step inside of the world, there's a healing that happens, there's a release that happens, there's an activation that happens that's more than you can even really conceive of. It ripples into all sorts of areas of your life.
Hi, everyone. This is Raina Carrillo with Purpose and Passion. I want you guys to go to YouTube channel, type in on the search engine, Luxe Media. I want you to subscribe, like, and comment. Well, today is going to be a whole different energy, and I'm really excited about it because I have an amazing, beautiful, talented woman on my podcast today, and we're going to be talking about purpose and passion with her beautiful voice. And so, before I introduce this beautiful woman, she's an entrepreneur, a musician, and within that, like the singing part of being a musician, is the sound healer part. And I'm starting to learn about it. You know, I'm from California, LA, Inglewood area, and we don't have that in our communities, but I am excited to experience it one day. And I'm happy that I have our guest, Angela Ferrari, in the building because I can already tell by her energy she's a very delightful soul.
Oh,
So
thank
thank you,
you.
Angela.
I'm happy to be here with you.
Yes, I'm excited. So I want you to take our viewers down memory lane. Like, where are your parents from, and where were you born and raised?
Yeah, I'm a small town girl, Gallup, New Mexico, and actually my parents were raised in Gallup, New Mexico. My father, yes, that Ferrari is my last name. My dad is Italian, and my mother is Mexican and Austrian. And my parents met when they were in the sixth grade. Yeah, so
Wow. All right. So Angela, man,
I
got
know.
some beautiful, beautiful roots. Like definitely, and I'm gonna always say shout out to my Mexicans. but,
That's right, girl.
but I love my Italians too. I think I was Italian in another life, I swear.
I could see that.
Yeah. And
You use your
Australia,
hands a lot.
yeah, right. And Australia, I've always wanted to go, just, never had the chance. So hopefully one day I get to go before I leave this earth. So talk about your childhood. Were you singing at a young age?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't ever pinpoint what the influence was for me. Um, but what I do recall is feeling a divine connection. And of course, as a child, we don't have the language for that because it's very pure and we don't box anything into what it means. It was, but as I reflect, it was some sort of divine sense that singing would take me into. So it was beyond just a mechanism of how to sing or just the action of singing. It was as language would allow me today, a spiritual connection.
Okay, well, let's go into this spiritual part because I have my own spiritual journey as a child. So when you said spiritual, the first thing that came in mind was you were young when you started to experience some of that. So I want you to kind of elaborate on a little bit about, that spiritual part of being a child and experiencing these things.
Yeah. Well, for singing was sort of this, it was also an acceptable way to, I'll say, scream, release. And we're already, I believe, we already have these built in mechanisms to heal and I'll say transmute energy that if it gets a little stuck. And as a child, I just feel like I had this sense of how to allow that process. Obviously, I didn't know I was doing that, but I just thank God for it today because I who knows what would have happened if that, because it was I had a bit of a difficult childhood. So
Yes.
if that would have got stuck, I don't know what ripple effect that would have had.
Yeah, you know what? I cannot sing for the world of me, but when I do drink a little brewski and I sing, I feel like I'm the best singer ever.
Do you know what? I was in this conversation. I want to bring this up because I feel like this is really important. Singing, we're actually singing creatures. And somehow singing and the outlet of that and the release, or we'll even say activation of that, is a direct link to healing for us. Because
I
somewhere
love
along the line, if you think about it, we're told, because look at little children before we get a hold of them.
it.
They sing all the time purely, freely, authentically. They're not caring about how they sound, how they occur. They're just not
Yes.
invested in that energy, but it's a natural release. So even I, as a child, was rejected as a singer. So I know what that feels like. I got rejected out of this choir. I was told that my voice wasn't good enough, and I feel like as adults, if we can just move ourselves into allowing that access, no matter if you're a man or a woman or what you've been told, because usually the
Mhm.
best voices are the ones that are most unique, and therefore they've been told that they were bad voices.
Man, I love that you say that because I have something on a bucket list. I'm in the industry as a manager, and I work with rappers, but they were trying to find women that can sing in the background. And they told me, "Go, Raina, go inside the studio." And I'm like, "Heck no! I only have guts to do it when I'm drinking because I feel free. That's one thing about me. When I drink, I just feel free, and I don't care what people think. I'm an oldies kind of girl. Like I love oldies. That's just my thing, right? And so just hearing you say that, I remember being a kid singing many songs. Anita Baker, Patti LaBelle, man, like so many others. And I would just sing it because it was around the home. But I think after you just sharing what you just shared with me, I might just go ahead and get in that studio and try and just see what happens because I've never done that before. And, I was a little intimidated. So I was like, no, I'm probably not going to sound good. And I pretty much rejected the opportunity because I'm just like, I'm not a singer. But the way you put it, Angela, that really like just put a thought in my mind like, you won't know unless you try, right?
Yeah, that hit home, and it's no coincidence that the timing of that has you also have this opening that you can step inside of.
Yes.
And again, it's more than meets the eye. So when we can rid ourselves of what's a good voice, what's a bad voice, but we are singing creatures, but we've shut that down. So the moment
Yeah.
you just step inside of the world, there's a healing that happens, there's a release that happens, there's an activation that happens that's more than you can even really conceive of. It ripples into all sorts of areas of your life.
Wow, my goodness. So let's talk. So I'm assuming the entrepreneurial or the music was first. Which one was first? Be an entrepreneur or the music first?
I was always, we'll say entrepreneur. And how would I relate to that as a child? I was a rebel. So I would,
Yeah,
tell me to do it this way. And I'd be like, come on, you guys, I know we can
do
do
it
it
that
like
way.
this. And I believe that's what creates the entrepreneur, creating ways to do things that are outside of the box.
Yes.
So I think they came hand in hand, actually.
Oh, nice. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's talk about before I go more into the music. Let's talk about the entrepreneurship of you, Angela.
Okay. Um, What does that look like? Well, I had to go against the odds. It wasn't necessarily the most supported thing in the world. I was kind of guided, just like most of us, into the 401k, and do it like this. And by the way, first it's college, then you should graduate about this time, and then right around here you should definitely be in a relationship because kids come here, and that whole thing. And so I was up against that and definitely questioned myself, but I think the distinction for me was that I had a very solid why, though.
Mm,
And I never really left that why, though. And I would get my own evidence, or I wanted to connect with what you were saying. You're saying it should look like this, but I don't feel that inside. Why though?
yes.
Why though? And I held on to that long enough that gave me a lifeline. And I did fall into, and listen, I'm not saying there's anything bad with the corporate world or whatever you choose that's in alignment with your truth. But if we are following a path based on what other people tell us is true, then we can, and most of the time, fall into a lack of alignment. And I just was in touch with that, didn't feel good. I don't care how
Yeah.
much I obtain. I got, sure, I could be successful in it, and I was, and I got money and cars and things, but I didn't have the light coming out of my eyes. I was just waiting for the next high and the next thing, and then I would be, like, depleted again, and so I took a leap of faith and I left it all. I'm not saying that was easy, but we're trying to make a long story short here. But big picture, it was so worth it because even though I didn't have the stuff, I what I was being was, in a realm of doing what I loved to do, that fed my heart. And so then I started attracting things from that place. I couldn't believe I would get a check for doing something that I would have done for free. And therein
Mm.
lies the thing that started building its own business. I didn't try, it just kept coming.
Wow. Well, I'm gonna have to. I need some of that mojo. I
Don't
need
we
some of
all?
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm like, I need some of that mojo, especially like everybody on my podcast knew that I ran for mayor of Inglewood in 2022. So I just took a leap of faith. It was a life coaching course, and I was actually just trying to see if I could become a life coach through COVID. Because everybody was all stuck in their homes. But within that program, it my peers in that program says, Raina, you've been helping people, get their life together, and I work with so they always tell me you're always helping people, whether it's taking a person from that's just come out of prison to becoming an electrician, right? And getting them their career so they can stay out of jail and just build a life. Because I always tell people, if you have a plan, a purpose, and then you fulfill that plan and purpose, whether it's a job or, once you have the money, you get the honey. And after you have the honey, then, you can go ahead and build a family in the future. And so I try to share that with the young men that I work with. And for the children that are coming out of camp and youth authority, I share the same knowledge of them, letting them know like they're not a mistake. And I share also that like a lot of I always tell them you weren't an abortion and you weren't a miscarriage. So you're here and you have a purpose, but now you have to figure out what your purpose is, how to fulfill it. Because once you have purpose, you don't have time to be in the streets. You don't have time for negativity because you have a purpose. And
Yeah.
I share that with them because that was me. I was lost just like them. Like literally, like I was the person that would say like, this is my block. I didn't own a property on that block, but I was claiming it was my block. I will die for my neighborhood, that mentality. And it took years to get out of that mentality. But don't get me wrong, the residue is still there. The residue is still there, but I'm a work in progress. But I love to help people change their lives because I know that God put us on this earth for something better and greater, not to struggle and suffer.
You just said that so
So I
beautiful.
just,
Yeah. You
oh,
said it
thank
so
you. And I'm just
beautifully.
speaking from my heart.
Well, that's the thing about you. There's because of what I feel, I sense what you've gone through. And first, when you said you love those old songs, you really resonate to me as an old soul. And I believe though we have to go through those contrasting experiences to have the depth to us. Because if you
Yeah,
didn't have any of that, I'm not saying it's bad, you just would have no depth to you. Therefore, you wouldn't
yeah,
understand how to get in there. And I feel that with you. And yeah, there's a very authentic presence about you. So I can see
yeah.
why you
Aw, thank you,
guided
Angela.
many people. Yeah, girl, for sure.
Yeah,
It's
thank you
the
so
truth.
much. Yeah, and so now I want to go back to the music part because I seen your videos, and for me, like I said, like I come from a different era, the gang stuff, but I also have like a fantasy within me deep inside or I love like earth. I love rocks. I love ocean. I love trees. And when I see you, it's just like for me, like when you're singing, you make me feel free. You make me dive into that music video like I'm with you, you know? So that's what captured me. Like you're a goddess in your own right. You know what I mean? So
I received that. I
yeah.
do. Thank you for saying that to me. Thank you.
Yes. So, being, when you do your music videos, where does that come from? I mean, obviously it's you, but I know, like, I just want you to describe that because I want to learn more about that.
Believing Before Seeing, a new bestseller by Candace Barr. Order your copy today.
It's a great feeling. And it's a great question because I feel like we can all resonate and relate to this experience when we lose ourself. And what
Yes.
is self? It is the construct of, personality, and I'm in my thoughts and what I should be and who I shouldn't be, and just all of the stuff. And we lose ourself. And then there's something else that just kicks in. And the best word often we can find for it is like a flow state where the body is sort of buzzing in a way, and there is this deeper connection to something. And then how do we know what that is? By knowing what it's not, right? And we can feel
Mhm.
when somebody's not in that too, and you can feel it like you're explaining here. You feel something. It's like
Yes.
how does Van Gogh paint a chair, and we feel it. You and I might not be as deep as he was in that flow and paint a chair, and people are just going to go, I don't know
Yes.
what this is. But we connect to that. That's how we connect to one another too. We resonate with that in the
Mm.
deepest way, in the deepest ways.
Yeah, and I always tell people music bring people together. Like when we do peace things in our communities in LA, we always bring music involved, like a DJ playing music because music bring people together. We have food because food brings people together. Even art brings people together. So, Angela, I hope one day I can meet you in person because I would love to, to meet you like physically because I'm already vibing with you electronically.
I feel the same. I feel that connection with you too. I would
Yes.
love that. Yeah.
And so, talking about connection, I want to talk about sound, being a sound healer, because I only heard it one time and it sounds so angelic because I came in late for a gang intervention class. So, they're trying to teach the sound healers, sound healing part to us gang interventionists, because obviously we go through a lot. We see homicides, we see dead bodies, we see shootings, we see altercations. It's a very things that weigh on us, but for some odd reason, it's sad that we say this, but we always tell everybody from the city when they're doing their training, it's like we're numb to it. We're like it's normal to us. And so
Yeah.
somebody suggested sound healing. So when I walked in kind of late and they were ending it, but I saw a lady with a bowl and it's what I could hear from outside. So I went from bumping Tupac, parking, and then walking in, hearing something so angelic. And so when I walked in, she was just finished, and everybody were like, they had their giggles because they're all like ex-gang members. And so one guy, he had me laughing. He's a Crip, and he was like, "Dang, cuz I wanted to fall asleep. I felt peaceful, but at the same time, I felt like I had heaven on earth." And when he said that, I was like, I walked in knowing it sounds so angelic, you
Mm.
know? And so when he said that, I feel like I'm on heaven, is heaven on earth. I
Wow.
was like, wow. So let me know, Angela, like, how did you get into being a sound healer and what attracted you spiritually? And how are you helping others through
Mm.
the work that you do as a natural healer? Because God just showed me you're a natural healer.
Mm.
So I wanted to talk about that.
Well, I love that you said I was listening to Tupac and then I walk into this room of sound healing because there is a container of what sound healing is with the sound bowls, and oftentimes, sometimes people will have tones in their voice on top of that. And I would say, while I've experienced that, that's not necessarily what I do in that container. However,
Yes.
the frequency of music, right? it
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, so this is where we can encode those frequencies with an activated heart. And even Tupac had healing frequencies within him. That's why you get
Yes, it
chills
is.
when you listen to Tupac, because he had
Yeah.
such a passion about him, and he was so vulnerable, and the whatever came through him you could feel. It's distinctive. You listen to
Yes.
Tupac, right? So it's the
Yes.
same coding. And if you now musically we can say if you're angry, and if you're coming in with many wounds too, people can resonate with that as well,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yeah.
uh, there's all sorts of levels of different frequencies in music, and I'm not making them good, bad, whatever. I'm just saying what is. There is a
Yes.
certain thing with an activated heart that can encode music with intention.
Mhm. Yes.
And this is where you don't have to do anything. You already resonate with that because it's the truth of who you really are. Through
Mhm.
all the
Yes.
layers of
Yes.
experiences and wounds, it's the truth of who you really are. So that's why the sound causes healing, no matter what it is, if it's a vocal,
Yes.
if it's a guitar, if it's in any type of instrument, the
Yes.
saxophone. And if you just become available, the slightest bit available, and as you said, these people are listen, I'm from a small town and I know all about the gangs, and I was immersed in all this. So this is not foreign to me. I understand this, but even at whatever contrast you go through, it speaks to the truth in you. And that's why
Yes,
you're
it
able to
does.
experience that.
And Tupac is one of my greatest rappers because of his authentic part of him, the Black Panther, movement. I'm Mexican mixed with Creole. So my Creole side of the family, you know, moved to Oakland, and they got into that. And then looking back at my Mexican roots, they told me one of my ancestors was a strong woman and she rode with Zapata. And so it's like, man, like I got, warriors, in my family tree. And so I end up taking my warriorness into the streets. But I believe truly I needed to be a testimony for my community. And so
Absolutely.
now, yeah, so now I'm like this warrior on a unity peace tip. And so Tupac is like, I even tell God, like, I know he curses this and that, but I'm sorry. Like, I'm just gonna have, like, he makes me feel good. Like when I hear him and when I hear the curse words, it's just it I feel him. I understand the struggles and I understand everything, like, everything. So, I just wanted to share that with you. You are correct. Sometimes when I'm on the freeway, I don't play. I play classical music sometimes, or spiritual music through YouTube, just so I won't have road rage on the freeway and alert. Because my
That's
God,
very wise, though. It's
yeah,
balancing you.
because I remember
Yeah.
somebody was honking at me because they felt like I was going too slow, but I wasn't. I was going 45 on the far right lane, and the person was on my bumper, and there goes the triggers coming. And I'm like, oh, and then I'm playing the music, and the person just passed by me, gave me the big bird, and flipped me off. And then I looked at him. You know what I did? I waved and I said, "God bless you."
Yeah.
It would have been a whole nother story.
I relate to you on so many levels. I get it. I do.
Yes. So yes, Angela, is there anything you want to share on purpose and passion before we close out? Because I love the way you talk. Like I wish I could put you in my pocket and just keep you with me everywhere.
Oh, i- if I don't know that I have a specific thing to share other than I would like to reiterate that this is accessible to all of us. Sometimes we think every time we heal, it has to be through blood, sweat, and tears. But if we can just be available to things like receiving frequent, go seek out sound healing. And then also with the seed planted, that it doesn't have to look like that container, even though that container, my gosh, is so beautiful. It can be held in many containers to the frequency of music. And also to reiterate, for all of us. Most of us have a story somewhere with a wound of our voice activation. Nobody
Yes.
has a bad voice. That's some kind of belief structure implanted in us because nobody has a voice like you. So if
Mhm.
you, whatever that might look like, it doesn't have to be that you sing in front of thousands of people, but just your own journey. I guarantee you, by activating that within you, it's your birthright. You activate so many other things within you that align you with your
Mhm.
truth and your purpose.
I love that. Thank you so much. How can our viewers find you on social media?
Yeah, my Instagram is Angela Ferrari Official.
Oh my God, Angela. When I meet you, I'm gonna say, Angela, vroom vroom Ferrari.
There you go.
Well, thank you so much for gracing purpose and passion. This is Raina Carrillo signing out. Until next time, peace, love, and unity.